Hey YouTube, Bella here. I'm doing something a little different. I'm recording in the morning. I don't usually talk to anyone in the morning, so this is different for me. But in this video, I'm going to go over 7 long-term benefits of journaling. Now, what prompted me to make this video was that every morning I try my best to get up and journal and read. So I'll journal for about 10 to 15 minutes and I'll read for about 30 minutes. And that's a pretty consistent morning routine for me. I do this before I've eaten or before I take a shower or get ready or anything. I just like to have my fresh mind for journaling and reading before any of the day takes over. I've tried to read in the evenings and it's just not as productive for me. It seems like I have a lot of anxiety about the day whenever I sit down to read at night, so it's just best for me to read early in the morning. With that being said, let's talk about 7 long-term benefits of journaling. So obviously there are a lot of short-term benefits of journaling, but you know, journaling is something that's been in my life for probably about 5 years, and looking back, I was journaling inconsistently when I was younger as well, but for the last 5 years, I've kept pretty detailed logs, if you will, of my feelings and significant life events, of my traveling, everything in between. So this is my journal. It's nothing fancy. It's just a black book that I got from Books A Million, bam. And it's kind of falling apart, honestly. I wish I would have opted for a leather one. But I take this thing with me whenever I go on trips. And I'm definitely going to take it with me to Germany. So I also really like to use stickers. But let's get into the 7 benefits. So the first benefit that I can see is that you can see how far you've come in your life. So for me, I have really always been really self-critical, really hard on myself, and I still am, unfortunately. It's something that I'm working on, but I can look back on my old writing and I can literally see myself grow over time. I can see the things that I was doing back then and the things that I've learned since then, and it almost is like it's a time capsule of who you were in that moment, and you can't, you really can't ever capture those feelings again once it's over. So, 21-year-old Bella was very different from almost 25-year-old Bella, of course. And even in the entrepreneurial world, I'm just living very, I have very different goals than what I initially set out, and it's totally okay for your goals to change. I think that's part of growing, is listening to what you want internally and trying to filter out what you want versus what other people want for you. And that's a whole nother video subject. So yeah, you can see how far you've come, and I love to read back on my old journals, especially. One thing that I'll do around New Year's is I get out all of my journals and I read all of them, and that literally takes probably about 3 days, but it's something that I start doing every New Year's, and I've done it for a couple of years. But what it allows me to see is, who I am as a person, who I've evolved to be, how I am, gonna move forward in the next year, and it's just really useful to see how far I've come. So number 2 long-term benefit is it's a place to write down your goals. I'm a firm believer that if you write down your goals, that they will try to manifest. Like anything that you put on paper, your brain starts figuring out a way to put it into action. I actually just looked over a thing that I wrote down some ideas for YouTube videos, and I can see that I've already made 4 videos from these ideas, and I was just kind of scribbling this down as just sort of an exercise of creativity. But when you write things out, especially your goals, it just becomes more likely for you to take action on those. So writing your goals out, very useful. And I will write my sometimes daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, long-term goals, short-term goals, relationship goals, business goals, any kind of goals that you have. Get a journal and write them down, because I really think that whatever few dollars you spend on a journal and a pen, you writing those goals down is going to be the best money that you spend all year. Okay, number 3, long-term benefit, it's a safe space for you to say anything that you need to say. So there's a lot of things in life that we can't tell other people, right? Because you don't want to put all of your stuff on someone else. So writing in a journal kind of allows me to get my feelings of hopelessness, loneliness, insecurity, anger, fear, jealousy, anything that is sort of one of those ugly emotions. No emotions are bad emotions, but you have those feelings temporarily. Feelings don't last, right? Feelings are really 60 to 90 seconds, and then you think about something else because that's what the squirrel brain does. So a place for you to say whatever you need to say. I've written some very ugly things in my journal before. I mean, like, I've seriously came home and been like, oh gosh, it's just like, I'm so mad. And after I wrote it out, guess what? I moved on from it. So writing things is cathartic, honestly. Okay, number 4 is that it allows you to see your patterns. So we all have these patterns, these little things that we do, and it's kind of funny because you can see it if you write it down. I certainly can flip through and be like, oh wow, I'm doing that again. A lot of us have self-sabotaging patterns. We have patterns where we say things that are not so nice to ourselves, or we might even, you know, have the same kind of relationship over and over again, even though it doesn't work. We repeat history a lot, and we repeat the past. And even I have continued to do things that weren't working, and I don't know why. Like, and writing them out, it focuses your attention on, okay, this keeps happening, what can I do to fix this? Or you may have established a healthy pattern. You may have started setting up boundaries and making time for yourself and doing more self-care, and you see, wow, I can really tell a difference in me as a person since I've started, you know, this healthy pattern. So seeing your patterns can be really, really useful. Number 5, long-term benefit. It's a place to store your memories. Your memories are not concrete. I can't remember a lot of things that happened to me when I was younger. I found some writing that I did when I was like 16, and that feels like a lifetime ago, and I'm 24, so it wasn't that long ago. But I mean, when you're in a different phase of your life, you forget what the old phases feel like. That's why when people have a child and the child becomes a teenager, the teenager hates the parent because the parent can't remember what it's like to be a teenager. They can kind of think about it, but you can't feel what it felt like. And so in my journal, I often see what it feels like at that certain time in my life, and that has been really, really good for me to look back on. Number 6 is that it allows you to feel your feelings. So if you're like me, you may be a little bit hesitant to feel your feelings. I am really working on that, but I'm just not a feely type of person. I always have a sort of an aversion to feelings and vulnerability, and I'm really trying to fix that. I'm actually reading this book right now called Daring Greatly by Brené Brown, and it's about shame and vulnerability. But what I'm getting at is that for those of us who are not feeler types, a journal can be a place for you to feel your feelings, and it may not come naturally. It may be something that you have to work on, but there's really a lot of value in allowing yourself to sit there and feel what you are feeling, because, you know, shoving everything down, while useful in the short term, is not useful in the long term, and it won't help you develop as a person. I found out a lot of things that I was doing were just coping with feelings that I wasn't dealing with, and then when I actually dealt with the feelings weren't even that bad. It was just that I was so scared to deal with them that I was like, well, I mean, I'm just gonna do all this stuff and work all day and not take any breaks and just completely obsess myself about my business and my body and everything, and I'm not gonna even look at what I feel internally. So when you journal, you kind of can get some of that out. Okay, number 7, the last thing, long-term benefit to journaling, is that it helps you develop a deeper understanding of yourself. So we all have this one consciousness, this one life to live, YOLO, whatever, and this is all you have. And so when you know yourself, when you can sit with yourself and honestly say, this is who I am, this is what I want, this is what I do, this is what I want to be, this is what I want to carve out in my life, this is what I want to make time for. When you understand yourself and your patterns and your habits, that is how you live a good life, in my opinion. There are so many people who are just going through life and they are going through the motions. They are not really understanding anything that they do. Some of them are just trying to make ends meet, and some people have kids that they don't spend any time with or they don't take care of. Some people have a spouse that they just, you know, aren't really there for. There's so many things, and I think it's all rooted in not understanding yourself and not taking enough time to know you. obviously spend a lot of time in my own head. It's not pleasant sometimes, but there are benefits to it because I can tell that my self-awareness and my level of consciousness is actually higher than people that I interact with. And I'm not saying that to be rude. I'm not saying that to be condescending or, you know, like I have some egotistical complex. But when you work on yourself and you read and you journal, you're doing more than what most of the world is doing, unfortunately. We live in a society where we don't have time to even read a book, or we don't have time to exercise, we don't have time to journal, we don't have time to go outside and play catch with our kid, yet somehow we still have time to be on the phone all the time. We have time for Instagram, we have time for Twitter, we have time for Facebook, we have time for arguing, and it's just, you know, it's really sickening. But that's a topic for another day. But anyways, just journal and see how it goes. Even if you just journal once a week, that's 52 times a year. That's 52 times a year that you sat down with yourself, that you felt your feelings, that you captured a memory, that you looked at a habit, that you analyzed how you were doing something, and maybe over the year you noticed, well, this is what I can improve on, and this is what I'm doing really well at. So those are the long-term benefits to journaling. I will definitely make more videos on journaling if that's something that you guys are interested in. I really love journaling, and as you can see, it's definitely a part of my morning routine. If you don't know me, just go ahead and subscribe, and you can check out future videos that are coming in, and I'm going to be trying to make more content that is geared towards lifestyle and personal development, and I would really appreciate a thumbs up if you think the video didn't suck. I'm bearing my soul to you people, so, you know, really appreciate it. Take care.